Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with an action figure that I never thought that I would actually be able to get my hands on. Today we're going over the DC Multiverse Batman Year 2 Gold Label Collection. Ooh, fancy. I pre-ordered this way back when McFarlane first announced it. And I gave up because I had it pre-ordered. They canceled it on me. I think it was 2 to 3 times at Target's website. And I just finally said, screw it, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. And then McFarlane decided to re-release it, and somehow I was able to get a hold of one. Speaking of which, if you guys do want to get a hold of one of these, I just, at the time of this recording, checked Target's website, and it looks like it is once again sold out. But I would say not give up hope. I would keep an eye on some of the Facebook auction groups. I've seen a few of these go up for sale there. And then, you may want to check eBay. Good luck. But at least in the Facebook groups, people are willing to haggle with you. So fingers crossed, because right now, I don't see this on Big Bad Toy Store or Dork Side. So I hope that for those of you watching, you're able to get a hold of one of these because they look beautiful. Even though the way Batman's vanilla posed in the packaging, he looks like he has some personal issues going on there. So you see Batman, all the cool accessories, the gold label there. Nothing on the top except, being able to look down on bats. Nothing on the bottom there. Flip it around, window. Come around to the back, and you get a relatively cool product shot of Batman behind the moon like he was in Year 2. Figures from the wave, so I'll make sure to get a close-up of that so you can check it out at your convenience. Come back around this way, and even though this figure probably would not ever be on a peg, at least it says Batman Year 2 that way. So at least the initial look around, the packaging is awesome. So that said, let's get this Batman out and get a closer look at all this awesome stuff in here. And here's our Year 2 Batman out of the packaging with the arms attached. And guys, I've been messing with this for a few days now. He is quite an absolutely amazing figure. Does it have its problems? Yes. But overall, what McFarlane attempted to do with this figure, I'm loving it more and more. The sheer creativity of it is what gets me excited. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand, and let's talk about all the things that are awesome and the few things that are going to drive you up the wall. The comic panel this figure was inspired by was the opening page of the Detective Comics 577. Batman Year 2 ran from June through September of 1987, and Detective Comics issues 575 through 578, and it's one of McFarlane's earliest DC's works. Year 2 was penned by Mike W. Barr, who wanted to originally call the book Batman 1980, which I'm so glad that they didn't. But it was changed to follow up Frank Miller's Batman Year 1 story. Elements of Year 2 were implemented into the 1993 Batman's Mask of the Phantasm, and surprisingly, Batman Begins 2005 movie also borrowed elements when Bruce is waiting outside of Joe Chill's parole hearing with a gun. There's an element in this story that was inspired by, which I don't want to spoil here. We've reviewed the Year 2 series, and I'll make sure to leave the links throughout this review. Now, as for the figure, I'm in love with it for the most part. He comes with a plethora of accessories, so let's try to get through them as quick as we can because there's a lot to talk about. First up, he does come with arms, which you would think that is the weirdest part, but to put that big sucker on, which we'll go over here in a second, you have to pop the arms on and off, which is very irritating, but I guess that was just the one way that they could get to it, and I highly, highly recommend warming these arms up because they are an SOB to pop in and out. And I'm glad that there's really no way to tell that they don't belong there. Like, it looks like a normal action figure, so I'm glad that there's no differentiation of the arms. I'm very thankful for that. He comes with fisted gloves, which I find kind of interesting because the gloves that kind of come with the more of the Batarang thing, like this fisted hand here, it has more of the, designs like they're actually gloves, which I'm okay with, but what I find weird is we get those for the Batarang, and then we get these more like old school leaping hands or choking hands, which are welcome, but as you can see, they don't have that more industrial look to them. They just look more like his regular hands. So both sets, even though they look different, I'm thankful for. It comes with a Batarang, which I believe this is the same one that came with that first wave Batgirl, which, well, I don't know. And, you know, they have to make it soft, or not soft, but safe, so these are kind of rounded off, which looks kind of silly. But nonetheless, having an old school bluish Batarang like that looks awesome. This is part of the grave site that he stands on. And me being a photographer, I always love getting accessories. That cross there just looks absolutely beautiful. The headstone pops into the graveyard, this thing is nice and long. As you can see, like I'm trying to set the camera. Burp. But yeah, this thing is beautiful. I love that. If you look, all the colors on it, the browns, the grays, the black washed road with the browns. But what I like is the little Easter eggs. So we get like Tim Drake's grave, Barbara Gordon's grave, of course Thomas and Martha Wayne, Jason Todd, and Selena Kyle. That's just a really neat little Easter egg for this piece. And this thing, see if it'll actually let me do this here on camera. You take it, you can kind of see where it pops in, and just be careful with it. And as you can see, beautiful. And I like that they set it up to where, you know, you can either put Batman on here with or without his cape. So that kind of leads me into the next kind of sort of accessories that he comes with. So let me put this down for a minute. This thing is a pain in the ass. It's basically a stand for the cape to help Batman stand. And I'm going to tell you right now, because this is the top piece, I kind of wish that this would have came with some instructions, because I had to figure this out on my own. And it's irritating because you have to slide this up, and when I pull the cape over here in a second, you have to pop this in here, and then there's a peg hole right there. And that's kind of what happens behind the scenes. And I hate that at certain points you can kind of see this, depending on the lighting, you can actually see this. So if you're a photographer, you're more than likely going to have to Photoshop that out there, however you digitally remove stuff. But I like how all this stuff kind of comes on there. It's really cool. Now, before I get into the big cape, I'm kind of leaving that as the last thing. The other thing that he comes with is I love this cloth cape. The only thing that I wish Todd and the creators would have done, it seemed like, you know, like Hot Toys Mezco does, and put wires in it. Because as it is, you know, you can't do anything because there's no wires in it, and that's frustrating. But to put it on, you can see there's these little peg holes, thing in a Lego, sorry guys. See those there? You see this sort of weird deformity in his back right there? Pop the head off, which is relatively easy. Just on a ball bearing, ball joint, I don't know what that thing's called, but yeah, that's on there. Take these, line it up with them holes, and they slide in relatively easy. Drape it over and reapply the head. And there you have a soft cloth cape Batman. And I like how it folds because, you know, McFarlane loves doing capes, and so you can always see all the wicked folds that they have. And so I'm thankful for that. And that's why I wish this would have had some sort of bendy wire or something that you could really make this look cooler. You know, like if you have them jumping, be able to wire it up or something, just or like that. But yeah, that's probably the only downfall that drives me nuts is no wiring in the cape. It's like, damn it. So With that said, speaking of capes, let's bring in one of the last accessories he comes with, and this thing is a mammoth. I have to kind of back out and I'll get behind the scenes on my set. The paint apps on it are beautiful. I love all this black, just ever so gentle dry brushing there. And just look at all those folds. It's just Todd McFarlane signature, guys. Absolutely gorgeous. You can see where Batman plugs in. But here's where the frustration begins, because we take this, and what you have to do is, if you can kind of see it, I know it's kind of hard, but right there, that thing, you got to take this, run the thing up, and then you have to kind of fight it. I'm not going to do this on camera because it's irritating, but you take that lip and you plug it in here, and that's how you're able to get this with this to rest on this. I'm sure there's other ways you can do it without having to fight that. You can do that and then just kind of set it on there, which, as you can see here, does not look bad at all. Like, it looks natural, and it actually hides that blue peg pretty good. But here's the downfall. You can either do it this way, but the way that it's supposed to look is the graveyard is supposed to be in the background, so you flip it around this way. And you have to kind of play with it a little bit. It's a whole thing, you know. But yeah, the accessories are great. Let me strike these from the set. But that's like I said, that's probably one of the only real frustrations that I have with this figure at the moment, is fighting to get that thing to stay. And then I guess I should show this so you guys would be aware. I'm going to do it on the easiest arm, because this left one for me is super freaking stiff. But, you know, it's just like a Build-A-Figure. Just be ever so careful. You have to pop both of these out, and then let's see if I can get this one. Nope. But yeah, you have to pop the arms off, the heads off, and then you have to slide him in there. But as you can see, with just that one arm, he doesn't have a whole lot of clearance, but I don't want to try to fight that arm on camera. Let's just move right along. You guys get the idea. So for the sake of the review, we're going to pop Mr. Arm back in, pop Mr. Head back on. Now let's talk about the paint apps of this figure. Me, I'm always a sucker for this more blue Batman. It just very much echoes back to the Denny O'Neil early Batman days. And why is my focus not working? God only knows. I like the very exaggerated horns. It's always been one of my favorite things with Batman, is when they do that. The flesh tone of the lips, the cheeks look great. Blues look awesome. Grays look fantastic. If you hear the clicking, I'm sorry, my dog's just broke into my studio. I apologize for that. Love the yellow of the insignia here. The black Batman logo looks fantastic. Again, in talking about exaggeration, I love that his bracers here are just long and just showing you do not want to get sliced by those bad boys. Utility belt, old school yellow, looking good. Same with the trunks. Let me know also, guys, on this figure. I noticed this leg rubs, because like I'm always talking about with these McFarlane figures, this is soft so that when we do the articulation, you can get the butt flap. But see how there's a gap? And how when this one comes back up, it hides up under the trunks the way it's supposed to. This one does not want to clear it. I have to fight it And it looks like he has a little bit of excitement going on, and I have to use something to go up under there. If you guys have any trouble on yours with that, let me know if you do as well, because that's probably one of my biggest irritations. Boots look great. This leg looks a little bowed to me. And I think that's just from sitting in the packaging, because when you pull him out, his legs are pushed forward together like that to accommodate the big-ass cape. Boots look good. Overall, and I love the back. So you can see where the uniform's supposed to ripple like it should, showing that's not flesh, it's actually a uniform. Just overall, very great paint apps on the figure in and of itself. For this figure, the articulation's not that bad at all. One thing that I do want to talk about, and this is on the head joint, is he doesn't have a whole lot of articulation on the head, and I'm really disappointed in that. As you can see, when he doesn't have his cape to cover this or have the other cape on him, you get a gap. And I wish they would have done something about that, because most of the time they're either going to have that or have him looking down, brooding, and that's only the real way to hide it. He can only look up that much and forward pretty well, because that's what the figure is done for this doohickey for the capes. Head both ways, and because it's on that dumbbell joint, he has a lot of space, but yeah, that gap is irritating. You can go up that much, 360, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. The other thing, of course, like with all McFarlane figures, which I wish he would stop and take a page from the Marvel Legends, get rid of the damn ball joint. Hate it, but at least it works. And then what really pays off on this figure for me is here, to a degree. You can get him look down that much, all the way back, as you can see, he articulates here at the solar plex and at the waist. You can also twist him there and there. Oh God, that looks creepy. That's like T1000 creepy. So let's fix that. But you can see you get a nice range there. Legs almost all the way up. Legs forward. And then this is what I'm always talking about the Legends with the butt flap, how it always stops. But because this is soft plastic, look at this. Full splits. That's what I'm talking about when Hasbro should take a page from McFarlane. He's on that ratchet, so he gets the double jointed knees, can kick himself in the back. Ow. A little bit up of a thigh pivot here, which is thankful. Foot down, foot up. Sick of the ball joint, but it is what it is. Foot, and he has a bit of a ankle pivot, so we can get a range there. So other than the neck's probably the biggest problem for me on this figure because of that gap. I hate when you have stuff like that show up. It's just like, but other than that, very well articulated. Now for comparisons against this new Batman, this is the DC Collectibles Nightfall Batman and the DC Collectibles Red Hood, and then the McFarlane Arkham Asylum Joker. We've gone over these three figures, so make sure to check out those reviews. And as you can see, the two McFarlanes stand over, in the 7-inch range compared to these two. Side by side, you can tell the scaling difference. But if you're going to put them on a shelf and you kind of play with the depth of field, you're going to be fine. They all have that classic look because when New 52 hit, that was the first outfit that he donned. Before that, I wasn't too much of a fan. So this, to me, is still the definitive Red Hood. And even though this is the Arkham Asylum, I've seen some of the Jokers that McFarlane has released thus far. And the only ones that maybe might give it a run for its money is the three Jokers. But other than that, to me, that is the definitive look for the Joker. Now, when it comes to these two, I love what McFarlane is doing here. It has that Denny O'Neil look. Same with this one. I say Denny O'Neil, but also Neil Adams, etc. Or not Neil Adams. What is his name? Yeah, Neil Adams. Has that look that they designed. I'm still particularly partial to this one. I love the soft cape idea and the idea that you can swap them into that very long flowing cape. But still, I think because this was one of the last ones in the DC collectibles line, these two particularly, I think that's why I'm very partial to this one, even though he has that solid cape, which sucks. That's where this one kind of has the one up. But having both of them makes me happy, because now I have two different versions that scream that old school era when Batman was just badass. Let me know what you think of all four of these figures down in the comments. I really do love this figure, guys, especially when you get him in this configuration with the signature Todd McFarlane cape. I mean, look at that thing, the way it ripples in the wind. You can see the influence for Spawn later down the road. And I love when creators give Batman the kind of the cape a life of its own. And I think that's what really pushed me to want to get this figure. You know, year 2 was an amazing read. Artwork was beautiful. And as I've said before, I love to have comic accurate figures. And it just looks like they jumped off the panel. Now, as I said, there are things, you know, trying to get him on this stand is an SOB, especially with that rod they give you. That's a thing in and of itself. You know, taking the arms off so that he could fit in there was kind of a cool idea. But I wish there was a way that instead they could have like clammed this where you can connect it back together instead of having to pop the arms off and then sliding him up in there. Because at that point, I feel like it would have saved, time, like not breaking the pegs. Because I know a lot of people have said with these figures that this peg, you know, these arms break, and pulling these on and off, you know, you don't want to put wear and tear. The articulation's great, the head, and then the leg. I don't know if anybody else has that problem with the leg, but damn, does that drive me nuts. But overall, guys, if you can get this figure and you're a giant Batman fan like I am, this is one that you want for your collection. If you're the type that likes to pose them on shelves, you get them like this, you're golden. He is going to look amazing up there. And then for photography, you get him lit just right. Oh, it's going to look gorgeous. I can't wait to show you the photo slideshow at the end. So with that said, if you've enjoyed this figure, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if anyone's traded one in. If not, as I said at the time of this recording, it is once again sold out at Target. It's just kind of like, come on. So hopefully, you know, McFarlane will do another re-release, because this was the second wave. My first one got canceled like 2 or 3 times, and I finally got this one, and I was going to raise hell if they tried to pull that again on me. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little bat bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Photo slideshow coming up next, and I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.